Through majestic forests, alpine valleys and crystal clear lakes, following the trails of wild animals, in search of rare birds, in places where no man had set a foot before. Precious, magnificent nature, in all its diversity and grandeur, in the documentary series, Kazakhstan's Wildlife Sanctuaries. In the summer, city dwellers seek escape from the heat in the mountains or somewhere next to the water. We are also heading to one of the most beautiful places of the northern Tian Shan, the Kolsai Lakes. These alpine lakes are located in the national park and are a favorite vacation spot for many people, yet it's not a short trip. The road is almost 300 kilometers long. After passing through several villages, we are driving through the pass Kokpek. It crosses the spurs of the Transalia Latau and the winding Toray Gur Ridge. Magnificent view is opening before our eyes. The beauty of the mountain valley is exceptional. The gusty wind blows constantly. In winter, heavy snowstorms are greeting travelers, but now it's summer. We have crossed the Kokpek Pass, which means that we have covered half the way. We are heading to the Sati village, where the office of the national park is located. This year, the National Park Kolsai Kolderi celebrated its 10th anniversary.
Улттық парктың мақсаты осы улттық парктың жеріндегі тарихи мәдени орындарды.
The main function of our national park is to protect cultural and historical sites, natural complexes, preserve them for future generations, as well as prevent of violations and forest fires. At the moment, the park has 126 full-time employees and 35 part-time. All of them are engaged in environmental protection activities.
Барлығы осы қорғау жұмыстарымен айналысады.
The closest lake to the village has the same name, Sati. It is located at an altitude of over 1,800 meters. The lake seems to be spreading throughout the gorge. It is surrounded by tall, dense spruce forests. It stretches up the gorge for almost a kilometer. There is a tourist zone on the shore with cafes and a cottage town. A few dozen huts can be seen in the distance. This territory of the national park was leased for 49 years. Tenants are ready to invest in the development of tourism and are planning to transform the tourist zone beyond recognition in coming years. They are planning to invest in modern, comfortable lodges for tourists with all amenities, spots for entertainment and cafes. These features are important for attracting tourists, both domestic and foreign. Considering tourism, before we had only 3,000 or 4,000 visitors per year. It was mainly due to the poor condition of the road. Apart from that, there was insufficient amount of information available about the national park. Now the situation has changed. Last year we counted more than 22,000 tourists, and the number keeps growing. This time is the peak season for tourist visits. More than 20,000 tourists have already arrived. Pristine beauty of Kolsai Lakes is what makes them so popular. There are many beautiful nature spots in Kazakhstan, but Kolsai Lakes take a special place among them. Clean air filled with healing fit-on sides of spruce and juniper forests, extraordinary beauty of mountain gorges, and enchanting silence. What else does a person need to take a break from a life in the city? According to the master of the forest, Ashat Nurdauletov, thousands of tourists visit Kolsai Lakes on weekends. The road is under repair at the moment. After that, we expect the increase of the tourist flow. It will become more convenient for local and foreign tourists to get to the lakes. Therefore, we are glad this construction is happening. Tourists arriving at Kolsai Lakes can choose one of 5 routes. Some immediately go to the left shore of Lake Sati to a viewing platform from which you can observe the beauty of the mountain gorge. Others choose a more difficult path to the second lake. It is 400 meters above Sati. You can reach it on foot or on horses offered by local teenagers. During school breaks, they work as guides, making money on horse routes. We chose the third way, crossing the lake on boat, accompanied by the state inspector Tursunbay Kabakov. We are halfway to the second lake, 7.5 kilometers left before we reach it. There is a large flow of tourists walking up to the second lake. We are helping them, offering horses and boats for when they get too tired. The water in Kolsai Lakes is marvelous. Century-old Tian Shan firs reflect in dark blue depths of the water. During the day, the color of the water changes and becomes emerald green, as if the coniferous forest around it painted the lake in its colors. One moment later, and the blue sky reflects in it, immediately changing the color of water into bright blue. Lake Sati is very deep. In some places, the depth reaches 80 meters. The water in the lake is freezing cold even in the summer. The temperature doesn't exceed 6 or 8 Celsius degrees. This doesn't stop some reckless and tough tourists from jumping in it. Several fearless campers dared to swim in pure, almost icy water. The first lake is fed by 6 springs. They are called Batazai, Tobenkum, Jantayasha, Yer Sultan, Shapirashti, and Little Shapirashti. The weather on the lakes is unpredictable. Even in the middle of the summer, the air here is cool and breezy. Suddenly the clouds covered the sky and a cold drizzling rain began. It rained for hours, almost until the morning. At dawn, our cameraman Timur, together with Inspector Serikjan, took off for the second lake. It's been only 3 months since Serikjan began working in the national park, but he knows the area very well. A narrow mountain path leads to Lake Minjalki. It's not easy to be walking on this trail after the rain, even on horses. The trail goes uphill. After 2 hours of walking, we saw the second lake. Minjalki is the largest and the most beautiful of the 3 lakes. Rewarding travelers after a long and tiring hike, the lake greets people with an amazing view. A natural dam of fallen spruces and picturesque banks overgrown with juniper and flowers. Recreational areas are spread on the shore of the lake in Alpine Meadow Zone. Some tourists are camping in small tents around this area. Others organize big camping sites. Life is bustling here from the early morning. Campers usually stay here for 2 or 3 days. They need to stock up firewood, catch fish, and of course, clean up the territory afterwards. Inspector Serikjan Masimhanov attentively monitors their activities. His job is to protect healthy forests from illegal logging, to monitor the cleanliness of the shores of the lake. He can also help tourists out with finding the easiest route to the third lake. Are you going to the third lake? If you are planning to go, the path is over there. You'll walk for 5 kilometers. It's a small lake. Tourists visiting Kolsai Lakes are usually warned that they are in the near border area. That is why locals are required to have an ID card with them, while foreign tourists also need a pass to the border zone. Many guests from distant countries visit Kolsai Lakes. They come from Belarus, Russia, Ukraine, France, and other European countries. We met a tourist from Australia. It's not the first time Samuel Hall is visiting Kazakhstan. The nature of the Kolsai Lakes reminds him of New Zealand.
everyone, my name's Samuel. I'm from Australia, and here we're at Kolsai, the second lake in Kolsai in Kazakhstan. As you can see, the sun is shining, the weather's beautiful. This is our second night here with a big group. First time I came here was last year, and it looks amazing. The trek was great. The people are fantastic as well. So my first impression of this place is just the amazing beauty, the clean air. Yeah, everything's really fresh here. So we've been swimming here. It's cold but really refreshing as well. You can go fishing, you can catch farel.
The third lake, Upper Kolsai, is situated higher in mountains than the rest of Khalsa Lakes, on an altitude of 2,850 meters above sea level. The lake is hiding between majestic rocks and bizarre evergreen juniper trees. This time we didn't manage to reach it. It is closed for visitors. The national border is right next to it. It's time to say goodbye to friendly campers. We felt a little jealous. Spending several days surrounded by such beauty is just wonderful. Sometimes tourists enchanted by the nature of the reserve decide to stay longer. One of them even asked our cameraman Timur to inform their relatives about this decision. There is no cellular coverage, and this adds to the charm of living in the wild. On our way back, a cold, drizzling rain began again. On the way we meet backpackers. These were the people who chose to stay on the first lake yesterday. But visiting Kolsai Lakes without seeing all pearls of this region is just impossible. Along the trail, you may see different plants abundant in this area. Flora of the national park has over 700 plant species, including red-listed steppe Kungaica feathergrass, yellow Himalayan oxide daisy, Adonis chrysocephalus, Adonis tianshanica, famous shrank spruce, and so on. The animal world is also diverse and abundant. The park is inhabited by 26 species of mammals and 197 bird species. According to observations of the park's staff, the population of wild inhabitants in the park is growing every year, especially hoofed animals, red deer, wild boars, and mountain goats. This year they counted more than 700 raw deer. In addition to manual counting, employees of the park installed 20 photo traps on the territory of the national park. They help to witness secretive life of wild animals and birds, sometimes unraveling things that no one was expecting. There are red-listed snow leopards here in the park. It was believed that there were only 3 or 4 leopards here. Our photo traps have shown that there are 16 of them. Kolsai Lakes are typical mountain barrier lakes. Apparently, long time ago, after a strong earthquake, the lower part of the valley was blocked by a sliding mountain slope, forming a natural dam. Those are the origins of many Tian Shan lakes, for example Issyk and Big Almaty Lake. The most recent example is Lake Kaindi, where you can still observe the trunks of flooded trees. The name Kaindi means birch and comes from the beautiful birch grove in the gorge in front of the lake. It is 12 kilometers drive from the Sati village. One of the tourist routes leads here as well. The lake lies among the coniferous forests at an altitude of 1,667 meters above sea level. In addition to this unusual lake, there are several more gorges undiscovered by tourists yet. They are wild and breathtakingly beautiful places, untouched, pristine nature. The management of the park plans to change it soon, building another cordon. The tourist season lasts for only 3 months. We want to attract tourists in the winter too. Eventually we'll come to this. thanks to the support of private companies and the state programs to support domestic tourism.
Biz қолдау көрсетеміз, сол туризмді дамытамыз деп ойлаймын.
It's time for us to return to Almaty. The trails of reserved areas of Kazakhstan are waiting for us to discover them.